Howdy doody everyone, and welcome to the Sonic Character Popularity Poll. A poll I held from November 20 to November 28th to determine who is the most popular Sonic character. Now, before I go into the poll specifically, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who voted. It means the world seeing people participate in the things I create. A special big thanks to my backlog followers who I believe are the people who voted the most. Nonetheless, a massive big thanks to you all. So, where I got this idea was from the YouTuber Schaefer Productions, who's done these types of videos for Mario, Zelda, and is now working on a Star Wars poll. And I thought, hey, why don't I do this type of video for my favorite series, that being Sonic? So, I got to work on making a poll. Schaefer had 5 slots to vote for a character, which I thought was a good number, so I stole that. However, some vote takers didn't have a 5th favorite Sonic character, so maybe I'll do 4 slots next time. One thing Schaefer mentioned was how some vote takers in his polls would have parentheses describing why they like said character. So I decided to put an optional section as to why people like said character. I also put another optional section as to what vote takers' favorite piece of Sonic media was. We won't be covering either, considering that's not the focus, but maybe I'll put a list to those responses at the end. As to what qualified, pretty much every character in the Sonic Wiki Zone was fair game for me. Like with Schaefer, I decided to count different versions of the characters, while technically the same, to count as a vote for that version. For example, if a vote taker wrote Boom Knuckles or Knuckles from the Boom cartoon, that vote would go to Boom Knuckles. One question was frequently asked was, do the movies/shows qualify? Which, once again, if it has a page on the Sonic Wiki Zone, then yes, it counts. With all that said, a grand total of 20 people voted, with 100 responses/notes total. Naturally, we will begin with the one-voted characters. Most of these are obscure enemies and whatnot, so I'm just going to show a compilation of all the one-voted characters. Like I said, most of these were obscure characters that not a lot of people know about. With that said, I'm surprised Rouge and Espio were only voted once. I thought they were more popular. Anyway, now we move on to the 2 voted characters, which is where I'll begin to give my thoughts on a character, due to there only being 5 characters to discuss in the section total. I'll probably start off with the most obscure character of this tie. It seems we've been promoted because it's AOSTH Robotnik. I'll admit I haven't seen any YouTube poops that feature him, but I did watch the cartoon that he features in, and yeah, he's pretty funny. I think what carries him is his amazing voice performance, done by John William Baldry. May he rest in peace. I love the way he emphasizes everything. His relationship with Scratch and Grounder is also pretty funny as well. He may not be the most in-depth, but again, with how over the top he is, we can let that slide. The next one of this tie is Jet the Hawk. I'll admit I haven't played either of the Riders games, and I've never played Jet in Crossroads, aside from that one rival mission you have to do with him, so I don't really know much about him. I mean, he has his fans, but to me, I think Knuckles, Shadow, and Metal are all more interesting rivals, which is not to say I dislike him, but in my opinion, he's just kind of there. Next one is a character I do have something to say, though. It's Gamma. Holy cannoli. I don't know who at Sega thought it would be a good idea to give a robot minion of Eggman's an existential crisis, but boy did they pull it off so well. Gamma is one of the best written characters of the entire series, and he only shows up once. His story of learning to rebel Eggman to save a bird's family is so wholesome. And then he realizes there's a bird in him, and then he sacrifices himself, which is so... They pulled that scene off so well. Again, it amazes me how Sega never brought him back, but I'm glad they didn't. Even they respect the sacrifice this small robot made. Alright, next up, our second to last character of 2 votes. It's Fang the Sniper, who is also known as Knack the Weasel, who is also known as Jack the Jerboa. First off, I love this guy's design. He rocks his cowboy fit so well, and I love his smug look he has. Much like AOSTH Robotnik, I like him more for his personality and meme presence than for having depth. I haven't played Triple Trouble or Fighters, so I haven't seen any of his OG appearances. I did enjoy his Mania cameo, and he was fun in Superstars. I only wish he could speak, but other than that, let's hope we can get him to Crossworlds. Our last character to receive 2 votes is honestly very surprising. Without further ado, we got the pink love-struck hedgehog herself, Amy Rose. I'm honestly really surprised such a major character in the series is so low. I thought Amy was much more loved than this. Well, if you guys won't show her respect, then I will, because Amy is one of the most charming characters in the entire series. She would be a real fun character to have around. I like her in the adventure duology, where she keeps her Sonic simping side while also being serious when needed. Her first appearance is solid as well, just being a girl who has a crush on Sonic. I think that's why so many people dislike her crush on Sonic. For the most part, I see it as cute and harmless. I think it makes sense for a girl of her age, but I do think they take it too far, like in Heroes or Generations, where that's her only character trait. I think Sega has noticed this as well and is trying to fix it with her portrayal in Frontiers. I really like her portrayal in Frontiers, where we see her serious side more. It fits the tone of that game well. I also like the relationship she has with Sonic in that game as well. They got a nice sibling dynamic. Yeah, hopefully Sega writes her like in Frontiers in the future. Okay, with 3 votes, we have a tie. First off is everybody's favorite fishing purple cat. It's Big the Cat. I'm so glad Big isn't in the 1 voted Abyss, considering he's my favorite character to play as Crossworlds. I just love his dumb voice and big happy smile when he wins a race. I mean, how could you not like this guy? He's so nice. Aside from playing as him in Crossworlds, I loved fishing with him. In Frontiers! For one, it's hilarious that he finds himself trapped. And what does he do? Fish. Anyway, fishing was how I got the keys in the later game for the Chaos Emeralds. It seems that's why fishing's so mixed in Frontiers. Like, why thought they say mini boss for the umpteenth time when you can fish? Hopefully Sega can fix that issue, and we shouldn't hold over our buddy Big's head. You hear that? Just because a gameplay mechanic's bad does not mean you should hate a character. One last thing I talk about with Big is his theme, Lazy Days Living in Paradise, which is so upbeat and catchy, I find myself smiling every time I hear it. Honestly, Big's better than some A-tier villains I talk about on Every Villain is Lemons. And you? Who, like Big, how can you dislike him? You can completely dislike the game he comes from, but Silver is honestly the best thing to come out of 06. His struggle to save his ruined future made him a really compelling character, and the length he went to save it, being tricked by Mephiles to kill Sonic. Even if killing's wrong, I can definitely see where Silver comes from. Sacrificing this one could potentially save the future. That's the main thing I love about Silver. Despite living in hell all his life, he still hopes the future can be better. He remains optimistic. It's a shame they didn't really know what to do with him after 06. His Generations fight was cool. He was also cool in Forces, but other than that in Crossworlds, he hasn't made a real appearance like that since. Silver has a lot of potential. I hope we can see more major stuff. We have another tie in 5 votes, starting with Vector the Crocodile. Probably one of the most surprising things about this poll. His teammates get 1 vote, and he gets a fourth of the votes. Is it deserved? Well, if AOSTH Robotnik can get 2 votes, I don't see why not. Vector isn't my personal favorite Sonic character. In fact, Espio is my personal favorite Chaotix member. But still, Vector's just a chill guy. He's fairly normal compared to the others, but I think that's why people like him. Well, that and his character design's cool. I like that he's a detective and goes on a life-or-death mission to pay the rent. Let's be real, we all would do that. Anyway, our next character is another big one. We have Knuckles the Echidna. A real shame, because Knuckles was my personal favorite Sonic character, and still is one of my top 5 faves. Nobody really stops and thinks how sad Knuckles' story is. Like, he was born on an island. In the heavens, the blood of minds, justice flows inside me. And has to protect this rock all his life with no choice of his own. But I mean, he seems alright overall. Knuckles has always been an interesting Sonic character. I think he was the first rival to really pop, as he's the opposite to Sonic in every way. Sonic is blue, Knuckles is red, Sonic's defining feature is his legs, and Knuckles' main feature is his fists, so on and so forth. And even better, you could play as him in Sonic and Knuckles, where it was basically the hard mode. Still, he was fun to play as with how his fists could allow access to places where Sonic and Tails couldn't. And what's even cooler was with how Sonic and Knuckles worked, you could play as him in Sonic 3 and Sonic 2 if you had those games. And even though he wasn't made for Sonic 2, he was still fun to play as. Oh, but the adventure games, ooh. Firstly, his theme is amazing and catchy, but you don't need me to tell you that considering I was just saying that literally 5 seconds ago. His stages, I see a lot of mixed things about his stages. I personally really enjoy Knuckles' stages. I think they're a fun change of pace from the Sonic stages. While not the best parts of the adventure games, I thought the treasure hunting stages were cool too. Um, After that, Knuckles was kind of put on the back burner. Knuckles was playable in Heroes, Battle, and the Advance games, which, while not as cool as the adventure games, he was still fun. Then after 06, he just kind of disappeared for 6 years. He wasn't in Unleashed or Colors, DS Sport aside. This was a weird time for Knuckles enjoyers. He wasn't forgotten. He was in both storybook games and the aforementioned Colors DS port, but it seemed like with most of Sonic's pals, they were putting him back in the toy box. Which is fine for like Team Dark or Chaotix, but this was like a major Genesis character. I'm not saying all of Sonic's friends should be in every game, but it feels really weird they just didn't acknowledge him. Then Generations, Lost Worlds, and Forces come around, and Knuckles looks like a bumbling idiot. I really must drill in your head how much Sega seemed to hate Knuckles during 2007 to 2021. Look, Knuckles was never the smartest Sonic character, but he was never this dumb. He gets owned by almost everyone. And look, I get the 2010s were way less serious, but why can't Knuckles be cool when Sonic and Shadow can? Fortunately, we Knuckles fans starved no more, thanks to Frontiers and its prologue with Knuckles as his main focus. I love how he's written, as it feels like he's still finding his purpose as the guardian of the Master Emerald. I also love his relationship with Sonic, the two having a very, very friendly rivalry between each other. And then in 2023, he was playable again, thanks to Superstars. I really hope in the next mainline game we get more Frontiers writing. But yeah, Knuckles is great. Speaking of Sonic's rivals, with 6 votes, we got Metal Sonic. Yeah, you don't need me to yap your ear off for the 3rd time now about Metal Sonic. He's great. I love, like with Knuckles, his design greatly contrasts Sonic. In fact, all of Metal Sonic's characteristics contrast Sonic. Sonic's design is curvy, Metal Sonic's is sharp. Sonic saves little animals, Metal Sonic steps on them and captures them. Like I said in my analysis a year and 4 months ago, I'm old. Metal Sonic brought the best in Sonic and CD. He really felt like a personal threat. And in Heroes, he turns into a kaiju to defeat Sonic. Like, this man is so petty about being a doppelganger, he pretended to be his master the data of all the heroes so he can turn into a beast for a chance, a sliver of a chance to beating his copy, quote unquote. Then, similar to Knuckles, he just disappeared for a bit, and then in the 2010s he'd be brought back in the toy box if Sega needed a boss fight. Aside from Mania, they never really made Metal Sonic as cool as he was in Heroes. And like I said with Knuckles, he doesn't need to be in every game, and at least they tried to make Metal Sonic somewhat cool, but he was still just a boss if Sega needed one. Honestly, it still feels like Sega doesn't really know what to do with him, excluding Shadow Generations, which has the same excuse as his Mania. I bet in the next Sonic in the mainline game he'll get another chance, but still. Well, once again, I still think Metal Sonic is cool, as stated for the 3rd time now. Truth be told, I haven't played the Rush games, so I can't comment on those games. And I don't have to say a ton to say on her role in 06. I like her relationship with Silver. That's about all I have to say on her, really. Similar to Vector, a lot of people do love her, and I respect those people, and it's not that I dislike her. She's cool, she's just there for me. I may play the Rush duology one of these days, but not for a while. Who she's tied with for 7 votes. Ooh. He's come to make an announcement. He's the man with the master plan. It's Dr. Eggman. So, the other day, I just beat Sonic Adventure, and I really want to make an analysis of Eggman now. So, I'll keep my thoughts brief in case I do. So, TLDR, Eggman's a top 5 Sonic character for me. We've been going over how some old characters during the 2010s were flanderized and what were less serious. And while Eggman did suffer like the others, he was still a really fun and entertaining villain. For as problematic as Forces is, I think they did a good job making Eggman threatening. When he's on screen, he supposedly took over the world, so why isn't there robotic cities with statues of him? It feels a little more like he's taking over the world than already ruling it. But aside from that, when he's on screen, he's threatening and fun. I think the adventure games did a great job of really making Eggman a fun villain. He destroys the moon, he sends an airship at the kaiju he created, which he calls the Egg Carrier, like, they really make Eggman a threat. My mind goes to the difference of Eggman and Sonic and Tails' story in SA1. In Sonic's story, Eggman is a lunatic that could very much be taken down. But in Tails' story, Eggman feels near unstoppable. I cannot give enough kudos to Dean Bristow. He did an amazing job as Eggman in these two games. May he rest in peace. You got Colors in Lost World, where he is more goofy, he's still really fun. There's these cutscenes where Eggman's plotting in his lair, and it is interesting to see him when he's not attacking Sonic. They're not the funniest, but I wasn't amused. We also have to comment on Frontiers, however. Eggman's relationship with Sage may honestly be one of my favorite relationships in all of gaming. You see him with his robot lackeys a la Orbot, Keybot, and Metal Sonic, but Sage is different. Unlike with the previously stated, it feels like Eggman really cares for Sage, like father and daughter. And the ending where Sage sacrifices herself to protect the world and her final words are to take care of father. I remember the exact moment I saw that scene. It was on a bus on my Switch at night. Listening to the credits while I went on the bus for a mission trip, it just hit right for me. Sorry, that had nothing to do with Eggman. My apologies. If I go through with my Eggman analysis, it'll also be of the movie adaptation, the AOSTH adaptation, pretty much every adaptation, who I think they're all just as fun as the original Eggman. Yeah, he's the Eggman, and he's got the master plan. So, in second place with 11 votes, we got Edgy the Hedgy himself, Shadow. I mean, what else do you need me to say about Shadow? He's got a whole year to himself. You don't need me to tell you that Shadow is cool. What do I even say? Sega struck gold with Shadow. While he's not my favorite Sonic character, he does have my favorite character to design in the series. Black and Red's an amazing color scheme, and I love his tough face. I definitely think a lot of people get Shadow's character wrong. Oh, he cares about no one but himself. Oh, Shadow is just completely heartless. To be fair, Boom and his own game probably did give off that vibe, but the thing is, deep down, Shadow is a good person. In SA2, when Shadow mistakes Shadow for Sonic, when Amy mistakes Shadow for Sonic, he doesn't shake her off and attack her. He just gives her a glare, and later he saves Rouge of his own volition. He didn't need to do that. And at the end of the game, after he realizes Maria wanted him to protect humanity, Shadow changes his ways and saves the world. He isn't a complete goody two-shoes, but he isn't a monster. Another big outlier is Team Dark. While not as kind as Team Sonic, they still care for one another. Characters like Knuckles and Shadow show that you don't need a bunch of friends to not be lonely. Unlike Sonic, who's more outgoing, Shadow is quiet and introverted, yet he still has two pals who care for him. That's why I love Shadow so much. He lost it all. He lost his closest loved ones, and yet with help of Sonic, Amy, and later Rouge and Omega, he overcame his trauma and fights for what's right, even if it doesn't look like it. This is clear in his relationship with Silver in 06, where after meeting him, he tells Silver how much of a fraud Mephiles is. While not stated, Shadow does see himself in Silver, someone who, while they may not look like it, wants to do the right thing despite their awful past. I also like how in 06, despite being told in the bad future that humanity will lock him due to being mixed with up with Mephiles, he decides to push through like he always has, even if everyone turns on him. Then we come to his own game, Shadow 05, where everything Shadow was shown to be was thrown out the window. Instead, we got a selfish jerk who only does things that benefited himself. And look, I won't pretend Shadow was the nicest Sonic character, but he wasn't like this. Because this was Shadow's own game, this was the impression a lot of people got of Shadow, which I really can't blame them for. Like, why play 3 games, including one of the most hated video games of all time, when you can learn about this cool character by playing in his own game? Fortunately, these days, people get his character right. Thanks to the Year of Shadow and Shadow Generations. I don't have a lot to say about Shadow Gens. He acts like he did in SA2, Heroes, and 06. I loved how he was the character picked to announce Crossroads. Like, we have Sonic as our character to announce stuff all the time. Let's pick a new character to announce in a new racing game. Well, all that's left to say is, all hail Shadow. Well, for our most voted for characters, we have ourselves by far the most fitting tie yet. So, without further ado, with 12 votes, we have Sonic and Tails. And I'm just going to discuss both here as a duo. I mean, both are two of my childhood heroes, as well as thousands of other kids. Sonic is a big brother. He has no fears. If he wants to do something, he'll do it. Tails is a little brother. Despite being in Sonic's shadow, he still does his best to do the right thing. These two have by far the most wholesome and best bromance in the series. You have games like Sonic 2, SA1, and Colors where the two just hang out together while they save the world. And Frontiers. Please, Sega. Please, more Frontiers writing, please. Tails decides he wants to grow as a person without Sonic, and Sonic is nothing but supportive of it. The two are still best friends no matter what. I also love just in how inspirational they are. I'll never forget what Sonic says at the end of Black Knight. Every world has its end. I know that's kind of sad, but that's why we gotta live life in the time we have. Black Knight's just a weird Sonic game, guys. Yeah, these two inspire me to be the best I can be. I see no reason why they shouldn't be the most popular Sonic characters of all time. Well, there you have it, gamers. Thanks again to everyone who voted, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching!